Hello and welcome to the Nerdosphere. I'm one of your hosts, Clayton, joined as always by COVID Bane, biggest palate this side of the Mississippi, freshly styled mustachioed Corbin.
Hey.
All of that visual buildup. For those listening, there was a ton of visual buildup. Corbin went full Corbin, and then all he said was, "Hey."
We're also joined again by our part-time host, Timothy Tallis.
I don't even know how to do this anymore.
I was hoping
I don't
you
have
would
a
make a
nickname.
jab.
I don't know. My equipment didn't work when we started. I think it's a sign from God that I should just quit podcasting altogether.
It's a shame because those who listen to us seem to listen to you for some reason.
The brains of the operation.
Love that.
Well, welcome back, Tim. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Last week
weeks.
you weren't around. We talked about Hawkeye. What have you watched Hawkeye yet?
If you say
Not
no,
yet.
I'm gonna fucking dick punch you.
Yeah, not yet.
Oh my god.
How have you not? How did you force yourself to slum through Captain Falcon every week, sealing the fate of a podcast?
To be honest, when he was slugging through Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we were doing a weekly review show on it, so he had to.
I had no choice. No choice. So we're just in a season of life right now where watching TV it's difficult. It's hard for us to find time to actually do it. So we're essentially down to 2 shows, and I'm trying to be a good husband, a flexible husband. So I've told Jody, I'm like, why don't you pick something that we watch, and then I'm going to pick something that we watch. So my pick is Dexter right now, because that's the show that I've been most hyped about for the entire year. And her pick is You, which has Dexter vibes. But let me tell you, you go on the socials, you go on like these recommendation pages, everybody raves about You. It's not good. It's not good.
That's like saying, all right, honey, to make Christmas more simple and diversify things, we're going to choose 2 places to shop. I'll choose one, you choose one. That's where we'll get the gifts. You chose Amazon and she chose fucking Wish. So Christmas is just going to be a bullshit occasion.
The good news is when Jody wants to binge, we binge. So we've watched a full season of this in just a couple of days. You can tell that season 1 was made for Lifetime. And I think that says everything that you need to know about the show. It's incredibly cheesy. I will say it would be a good show for Lifetime, but it's not a good show. So we will be through You soon. And then I will be able to start binging Hawkeye, which I'm very excited for Hawkeye.
So I know you're going through some things right now, so I don't want to poke fun at you too much. But when you said we're going through a season of trouble, all I could think about was these like the TikToks that make fun of modern evangelical Christians, where they're all like, "We're just going through a season of trouble right now, and I just wanted to offer my condolences.
It seems as though you're going through a real season of mistrust and doubt.
And I'm here to be
God's plant in your life to just bear fruit on your life."
My shit is so crazy right now. I don't even get to watch the TikToks you guys send.
You're going to enter a season of flourishment, and I'm going to be there as the flowerist who is just giving you away to all of God's children. I have to say,
though, what's really tough is when I'm like looking at my phone, I've missed 17 TikToks from you guys, and I only have like 5 minutes to watch. I have to be selective about which ones I watch. And the quality from you guys is like, sometimes I feel like I'm completely vibing with your TikToks you send and I'm cracking up and I'm feeling it. And there's times I'm going through the TikToks, I'm like, what the fuck are you guys watching?
You know that we send TikToks that aren't just funny. There's more to TikTok than funny videos.
I have found that Clayton really likes to send TikToks where when I'm done, I just say, What the fuck was that? It's like, it is the weirdest, craziest shit. Like, I think you sent like an animated one the other day, and I just sat there at the end. I was like, what the fuck did I just watch? It was just, it's just fucked up TikToks. You enjoy the fucked up TikToks.
Indeed.
That's what it is.
Yes. In fact, when our
Versus
Discord,
Corbin has a well-rounded palette of TikToks. Some
I
of
am the
them are
biggest palate this side of the Mississippi.
Some of them are
so.
fucked up. Some of them are
brand.
hilarious. There's quite a few. I'm like, what? How did you even get to this? But you have a well-rounded taste in TikToks, which I appreciate.
Thank you.
But I will say that Clayton's TikToks usually make me laugh the hardest.
Should we, when our Discord is up and running, should we have a TikTok Discord where no one is allowed to submit them? They just get to see what we share so they can be in sync with our For You page.
I've been watching you, and that's a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea because we're going to get this crazy stalker. Well, no, it's okay. You're in St. Louis. The stalker will be in St. Louis, not out in freaking Ashland, Missouri. So yeah, go ahead. Just post some toe pics with it.
I am 100% okay with stalkers because they're probably going to like support us financially. Like if you want to stalk me, come on, baby. I'll give you some toe pics
for a quarter a day.
I will let you
stalk us efficiently.
If you give me $1 a month, I will let you lick my toes.
Oh my God.
That's $1 a day.
I misspoke, but I stand by it.
He said $1 a month.
No, I said $1. I said $1 a day. I meant $1. I meant $1 a month, but I said $1 a day.
That's even worse. For $1 a month, you'll let somebody lick your toes?
Get in line. I got 10 of them.
One day the wrong guy is going to call your bluff.
If you're a hungry boy, I got a heel for you too. So let's get 12 in this lineup.
Oh man.
Corb toes, look them up.
All right. Well, if you didn't know, this is the Nerdosphere podcast that discusses everything from the big screen to the small screen and anything in between. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Christmas classics. We're going to each discuss a few movies that we all enjoy that are must-watches during this time of year. It is December. We're feeling the Christmas vibes. We've already had a post or two about this kind of topic in our Nerdosphere group over on Facebook, so we thought it'd be a good idea to let you all know what are our go-to essential Christmas movies. Remember to scroll down and give us a 5-star rating if you like what we do. Visit us over at patreon.com/thenerdosphere if you really like what we do. And apparently we're going to be adding toe licking to the tiers over there, so be on the lookout for that.
I'm here for the people, so yeah. And actually, we have 140 reviews right now, and I went through them today and read some of them. There is actually some really sweet things written in there from people I do not know. That's when they feel really good, when it's like, I know this is a stranger, and they like our content.
Also, remember that I'm expanding what I talk about during like the what would you call this section?
The chit chat portion?
No.
Housekeeping.
Yes. Remember, we have an anime podcast called Anime Ultra. It's hosted by Corbin, along with our fellow Nerdosphere hosts Jesse and Christian.
You've been showing up too. I've
been there a couple times.
You've been there a handful of times.
Don't rely on me to be there, but you may come, and I'll be a surprise.
I feel like that's my role on the Nerdosphere right now. Don't rely on me to be there, boys. But
shouldn't be, but I do have a joke with Jesse and Christian now, where regardless of whether or not I explicitly invite Clayton to that episode of Anime Ultra, I'm now sending just the invite in general, and we wait on bated breath to see if he shows up. It's kind of exciting. It adds an element of mystery.
We also just launched the Wheel of Time Watchers, which is our Wheel of Time review discussion podcast that we do each week. I host that with Anime Ultra host Jesse, and we talk about the show and compare it to the books. Be on the lookout for More Than Mando show, which will be making a comeback here in a couple weeks as Book of Boba Fett comes back to life. And with how good Flippin' Hawkeye is, Corbin texted me earlier and he's like, should we revive Marvel Watchers, like to talk in depth about this stuff, because it's really good. So,
Yeah.
we'll keep you posted, but you can find out all about us over at nerdosphere.com. Again, you can also find us at patreon.com/the nerdosphere, where you can join the Nerdosphere family. Before we get into Christmas stuff, do we want to talk about other stuff that we've been watching? I know Tim kind of mentioned you. I know Corbin wants to hear Tim's thoughts on Ghostbusters.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
Also, like, just real quick, because Tim wasn't here. First and foremost, I got to go to New York City, Tim, and I got to drive in New York City. I trained NYC, New York Corb, and my cat's shitting right now. So if you hear litter box, that's what's happening in the background right now.
It's just like New York.
Dude, there's trash fucking everywhere. It's disgusting.
There's trash everywhere, shit everywhere.
Something that I forgot to tell Clayton was, so I was an anxiety ball leading up to leaving because I packed late, like I do the day before I go. And the flight was at like 5 a.m. So obviously I had to wake up at like 3 to go to the airport, which means like I'm not basically sleeping. I get home, finish packing, I'm getting ready to lay down in bed for basically a 2-hour power nap. And Brahms comes up to me and sniffs my butt, tickles me. He goes, ah! And then I drop my phone in the toilet. I immediately scream. Morgan comes running in, and I just lightning speed reach in to grab the phone. And I pull it out of the toilet and I throw it at her because I am trying to pee. And I go, put it in rice. And thankfully, my phone is okay. There's no damage at all. It works fine.
This was mid pee.
I was getting ready to pee. So like I had to stop the stream from coming out. But once you're at that point, you can't permanently stop it. It's just like a temporary roadblock because then the pressure starts to build and there's that pain, in your penis. And I was like,
so there was pee in the toilet?
No, there wasn't yet. I was getting ready to pee.
Okay.
It was the levee was opening. And it was getting ready to dribble out. And I stopped it.
Okay.
Grabbed the phone. I threw it at her. I said, put it in rice. And then I peed.
And it worked.
It works.
Did it work right away, or did you have like?
I was too scared to deal with that. So one thing I did have to do is while I was in the rice bed, I had to make sure to email all the shit I needed to Morgan's phone, like the flight confirmations, anything that I would need for the booth, FedEx confirmation, all that shit. And it works fine. Everything works fine. And I don't know if that's just because
newer phones aren't. I mean, you could probably swim with your phone now.
Like, it's not the newest iPhone, but it's one of the newer iPhones. And I don't know if it's just this kind of like PTSD that's drilled into our heads because we've been with this technology since its infancy. And it's like you couldn't even like be out in the rain when we were younger and like get this shit wet. So I definitely was like a stress ball. And I was like, of course, this would happen like 2 hours before I'm supposed to fly to another state and do this job.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
You're in the bathroom about to pee.
Mm-hmm.
Dog walks in, tickles your butt. You didn't close the door?
No. Why did I close the door?
Were your pants fully off for the dog to really be able to tickle your butt enough that you would drop your phone?
Man, I'm wearing gym shorts and no underwear, so there's a very thin layer between dog's nose and my
were
butt.
the pants on the ground?
No.
Okay.
I mean, if you would have closed the door,
I was gonzo nose. I had a gonzo nose. No, I don't. The only time that door shuts is if she's pooping.
You shut the door when you
poop?
Depends on what we're watching.
That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. I can't even playfully laugh about that. That is disgusting.
So, real quick, Clayton, do you close the door when you pee?
Every fucking time. If I'm in the bathroom, the door is closed. I don't want animals or children or wives yes, I said wives. in
Freudian
the
slip
bathroom with me.
See, I don't close the door when I pee, and it's just my wife and I, but I do have my back turned to where the door would be, so she can't see anything.
But do
But-
you also
How would you face the door? And
Well,
pee?
hold on.
Well, I mean, you could face
your main
you could,
bathroom is
Oh,
your master
yeah.
bath, though, right? So like,
Yeah,
if
it's in
you're-
our bedroom. So like,
so
if I were
it's-
just to stand traditionally, she could see a perfect side angle of everything going on.
But what
so
I mean is,
turn.
even though that door is open, you're still away from like your kids, your animals, your.
If you
Yeah.
if you leave your door shut, you lose on cute bonding moments like this.
Yeah, that's
where Percy sits in my gym shorts while I poop.
weird.
That's weird.
It's a little bonding. It's like little bonding moments.
To me, what's really weird is that you can poop with the door open with a girl present.
She's not a girl. She's my life partner. It's
That's
very different. Honestly, if you're not able to poop in front of your wives, I'd feel like you guys need some barriers that still need to be broken down.
It's not about.
I feel like
not
you
being
need some
able to
healthy
do it.
barriers to
It's
be reinstalled.
It's about
No,
setting
because to be honest,
boundaries.
the other one we were that open too.
I think that's weird.
It's weird.
Can you wipe in front of them too? Because to me, that's the
Well, who's
more
in there
vulnerable
inspecting you?
moment.
It's more of like a casual, like, hey, how's it going?
So like if Morgan walks in and like looks you eye to eye and wants to have a serious conversation with you, can you like finish pooping, bend up, kind of like lean to the side and start wiping while making eye contact and having a full
He's already got it up like
conversation?
this, doing
Why?
the fold, and she comes walking by.
Why would she want to have a serious conversation at that point in time?
Why
she
would you
knows
want
the
to have
door-
a
she
door
the door
knows
is open.
she would know being
You're
my
inviting
partner.
the conversation
You're
by leaving
inviting
the
it.
door
The
open.
door's
She would
open.
know being my partner that at that point in time, I'm actually at my most vulnerable. And that is when I am my most lethal because I am an animal protection. So if you're coming at me when I'm vulnerable, I'm going to snap back even harder. So if she wants to have a serious conversation, she's going to get the wrong side of the cord when she comes while I'm pooping.
The door open is an invitation for conversation.
No, it's not.
Closing the door is your physical cue that I am not available. You cannot come talk to me right now. I am doing something, which means that I need to be alone for a few minutes.
It's not
But
open
when the door is
100%
open,
of the
it's-
time, but there is a level of comfort and familiarity where it's like, shit, I have to poop. But if she doesn't want to pause the show, that door's staying cracked, and I'm gonna just courtesy flush and we're chugging through.
He's criticizing our barriers. I think I need to criticize their structure, because if I need to go take a shit,
The show
the
gets
show's
paused.
getting paused. It's not there's no debate. If she needs to go to the bathroom,
The show gets paused.
the show is paused unless she explicitly says, it's okay, just leave it going. Because there's some shows where you can do that. But if we're watching Dexter or something that we're fully invested in
Mm-hmm.
and somebody has to leave the room,
It gets paused.
it's paused. That's love right there.
No.
Love is not leaving the door open so she can listen to you take a fat shit.
Because she doesn't want to pause the show.
Because she doesn't want to pause the television
Well, then
show.
how much do you love me right now? Because I had Ethiopian food and put extra spices on it, and I kind of have to go shit right now. You
Well,
gonna
you're
pause
not
this podcast?
You're not taking us with you, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, exactly right. We're just going to go ahead and mute and turn off his mic. And
He's really dipping.
he's going to go to that litter box right next to him because he doesn't want to miss out. He doesn't want to miss out on this.
Should I join on my phone
No.
while I'm in there?
No,
So I can
goodbye.
listen?
So Tim, you saw Ghostbusters, and
Yeah, now's my
since-
time for my serious
since
review for
he
Ghostbusters.
left, and this is what he wanted to hear.
I feel like I should
feel
just
like
do it.
you should just go for it.
Yeah. So if you go backwards, go backwards to 2021. No, 2020.
Mhm.
We did a podcast about what are you most excited for? And then COVID came and completely derailed that list. And on my list, I said Ghostbusters Afterlife was in my top 3. It was probably my number 1 at that point because I'm a diehard. Uh-oh.
I'm sorry. Corbin just texted us and said, almost didn't make it. Almost didn't make it. I'm sorry to interrupt.
How does a
just-
man live on the edge like that in life when you almost
so
shit your
sorry.
pants? I don't understand. I don't think I've ever been in a situation when I wasn't sick and I almost shit myself
You know what that means?
without warning. That means that he was almost going to shit himself before we started recording.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. He's either been dealing with this thinking that he could conquer it, or it comes on him that powerful that quick. Either way, what the hell?
Oh man,
Oh,
the boy is a mess.
he is. All right,
boys.
so it was your most anticipated on your list for most
Yes.
anticipated.
Most anticipated movie. COVID derailed it. Then you fast forward to this year. It's again on my list for most anticipated. Finally get to go see it. I had very high expectations for the film. The backstory everybody knew coming into it. Some of the original Ghostbusters were going to be in it. The son of the original, I think it was the original director. Corbin would be blasting the right answer right here. But somebody who was tied to the original movie is the one that actually created it. So like all the signs are there. This is going to be a great movie. And I'm going to say that it was a good movie. It wasn't a great movie, but I also don't know. I can't look at this movie objectively and say, here's what didn't work. I think why I was a little disappointed going into the movie is I expected it to be a much faster pace than what it actually was. We really don't have ghosts or them even like ghost busting until the last act in the grand scheme of things. There's a couple of
Really?
moments that are really cool, but it's a lot of story and build up. And if the intent was we are going to resurrect the franchise, this was the perfect movie to launchpad that. But if they were to look at that and say, you know what, we just want to have one more Ghostbuster movie that really pays homage and respect to the original, I feel like it kind of missed the mark for about an hour and 15 minutes of it. I feel like the movie was good. It was fine. The kid actors were really good. The pacing was just slower than I would have liked for a Ghostbusters movie. But to be fair, you go back to the original Ghostbusters, the pacing's pretty slow in that too. But what I do want to say, spoiler free, is the last act of the movie is as good as you can expect. It definitely has a huge payoff that makes all of the 2 years I've waited for it worth it. They did it in such a smart way. They did it in an emotional way. The action was really good. The visual effects were awesome. This isn't really a spoiler, but you have like some of the original monsters come into play, but with modern day effects. And it worked perfectly. So in a nutshell, the movie's slower than I would have liked, but the last act makes it very worth it.
Nice.
I will say, I don't think this is one you have to feel like you have to go see in a movie theater. I think if you're like on the fence or if you have other priorities, this one's definitely fine to wait until you can get it on video on demand or just buy it outright. But it's definitely a movie worth seeing.
Good deal.
Did the Ghostbusters review while I was gone?
We did.
Sure did.
That's the only thing I wanted to hear tonight.
I know. This was Clayton's doing. This is where Clayton.
Why would you do that?
This is when Clayton does his evil laugh that he's been doing all night.
Why? You'll notice that was a record time of me dropping a deuce, and I did it specifically
it was very
so we could
quick.
Well, you know what
we had
happened
no
is
way of
Clayton segued straight into it the second that you rolled out of the room. So I had to do it. I mean, it was set up.
You didn't have to do it. You could have said, actually, respectfully, Clayton, I know that's something Corbin has actually been asking for a lot recently. He's been saying numerous times in the text chain. He's really excited to hear my opinion. I'm going to wait.
I mean, you got in the nutshell, so.
Yeah. And, like you established with us, you're used to things not being paused when you have to go to the bathroom. So.
Well, I respectfully didn't load up the Zoom call on my phone like I instinctively wanted to do.
Should have followed your instincts.
Fuck you. Well, so answer me this.
Yes.
Because we already know that the Ghostbusters that are alive are in the movie. Does Rick Moranis cameo?
Rick Moranis does not cameo in the movie.
That's sad. Because he came out of acting retirement or whatever pretty close to when they started filming that. So I had wondered if he was going to make an appearance. So
no, he is not in the movie. But one thing I will say that's not a spoiler, there is a mid-credit scene that doesn't really necessarily set anything significant up, but it's a really, really fun throwback to the original film and maybe sets up something for the future, but there's a really fun throwback in a mid-credit scene. So if you do go watch it, don't get up and dart out like everybody did in my viewing. I was literally the only person that stayed because I knew there was a mid-credit scene coming.
You would think that the MCU
You didn't tell
would
them?
have everybody
No, I
in their
didn't tell them.
seats.
I tell people if it's not a normal movie.
No,
If people
no.
are
See,
walking up, I go, there is a scene.
no, see. So my movie theater experience sucked. So fuck
Oh, you're like,
everybody who
fuck,
was around me. They
fuck
either they
them.
smelt god awful,
Mm.
or they were laughing at like the wrong moments. Like it was not a good crowd around me. There was three seats down. There was somebody with a kid that was walking around with a giant like fire tablet playing a game with the sound on, that I like had to give several dirty looks like, dude, I know it's hard to find a babysitter sometimes, but don't take your kid to fucking Ghostbusters when they need to play Baby Shark 4 times on their iPad to shut up.
Why
And
didn't you get him
it
kicked
like I
out?
actually felt bad because the kid like was downright scared at moments. And after a little bit, they ended up like taking the kid for a walk. And like I was on the verge of going and saying, can you get these fucking people out of here? Because mom fell asleep during the movie. Dad was watching the movie, and I'm guessing grandpa was there, didn't give a shit what the kid was doing. So I was totally okay with everybody around me leaving. It was not a good experience. It's the second movie in a row that I've gone to where I'm like, fuck, I really miss the movies, but I didn't miss people, because
Well,
people's
people are
etiquette
worse
is
now in the theater
fucking
than
gone.
before.
Their
But you
etiquette is
just
fucking gone.
you need to just come to St. Louis to see these movies so we can all be together.
Yeah. Yeah. Granted, I get it. It was like a 3 o'clock showing I went to. I took my kids to see it.
That's like going to see a daytime hooker. Kind of arrested for it. Or a daytime stripper.
I know. Like, I mean, if you're going to take your kids to the movie, it's going to be the 3 o'clock showing. But yeah, it was not a great experience. I will say, for your kids, if you're a parent and you're wondering, can I take my kids to it? Yes, if your kids aren't easily scared, I think your kids are fine. But just know that there's definitely sexual innuendos, just like in the first Ghostbusters movie. There's definitely references to like the gatekeeper and the keymaster, and like some of that element comes into play, and you don't necessarily see anything, but it's there. So if you're uncomfortable with that, just like the first movie, stay away.
So is it a sequel in the sense where it's like the third one, or is it more of a direct sequel to the first film and it's ignoring Ghostbusters 2?
It's more of a sequel to the direct first one. I think they
Okay.
maybe briefly mention the second one in passing, but it's definitely more of a sequel to the first one. I don't want to spoil anything, especially for you, because I know you want to see it, but it's definitely a sequel to the first one if you had to choose.
We know they've kind of famously got tricked a little bit to do the second one, so
exactly right. And I think that's probably why they tried to ignore the second one, is because they didn't actually like the second one.
Yeah, I don't really remember the drama on that one, but I remember there being drama.
Yeah, essentially they didn't want to do another one, and they kind of kept talking about it, and they came up with an idea that they thought they would all like, and by the time they got to production and started filming, that idea was no longer a thing, and they'd already signed contracts, and the story ended up being completely different than what they had signed on for. So they just kind of felt swindled because they really didn't want to do it in the first place. They kind of got talked into it with this great idea, and then that idea never came to light. So
yeah, the story completely changed. It's not like big portions of it. Like, it was a completely different movie than what they signed on to. And what a lot of people don't know is during the initial screenings for Ghostbusters, in front of the executive team and the money, essentially, they walked out and were patting some of the actors and the directors on the back, saying, it's okay, we all make bad movies and bad choices, we'll get through this. So they didn't think Ghostbusters would blow up the way it did. And the actors and the director, and they were very disrespected by the fact that they walked out of that screening. They watched that screen, they're like, we nailed it. And then they turn around and the bigwigs behind them are saying like, this is a failure. This is going to flop. There's no chance this makes any money. So I think they were naturally predisposed to not want to do a second movie, given that it was clear that what they did was not respected by the people that paid for it.
Yeah, there is a lot of cool stuff. If you're listening to us and you like watching things on Netflix and stuff, there's the show on Netflix called The Movies That Made Us.
Yeah.
They have the Ghostbusters episode in the first movie. And they kind of do a deep dive on what it was like to make that film. And it's fucking fascinating. That era of film is, I think, so fun to observe and kind of dissect, especially since it was in a culture where franchises weren't really like the go-to just yet. And honestly, I might be giving Ghostbusters a little bit too much credit, but it's one of the first like really good like blockbuster action comedies. You know, like we're used to MCU being like action comedy stretches suspension of disbelief, so you can shove whatever you want down the audience's throats and they accept it. But I feel like Ghostbusters was kind of like ahead of its time in that regard, where it's like you have a bunch of comedians who are like headlining this massive blockbuster.
Yeah, and on top of that, the visual effects, most of them were way ahead of their time and still hold up today for the original one. Now, yes, when you get towards the end of the movie and you see like the devil dogs that are sitting there around Gozer, I think was the name of the bad guy in the first one. That looks terrible. But like the actual ghosts, considering what we'd had around that, they look great.
And Sigourney Weaver was my sexual awakening.
Sigourney Weaver is a fox.
She was.
She's all right.
In that movie, she was a dime. A dame. She was a damn dame.
All right. Well, let's transition from that and jump into our Christmas essential movies. What movies are go-to watches for us? What, when the calendar hits 12/1 and there's a chill in the air and a snowflake landing on your tongue, what movie do you put on the television over and over and over and over until January 1st?
I'm Mr. Snow. I'm Mr.
Heat Miser.
I'm Mr. Bendelow. Definitely not the same as when I was a kid. I feel like everyone kind of had the same childhood where we all had this red wagon. And on this red wagon was a stack of VHS tapes of Christmas movies that you were only allowed to watch during Christmas time. And if you tried to watch it beforehand, you got in trouble. Maybe that was just me and Clayton because our parents were psychos. But there were all these claymation wonders of like Rudolph. And then there's the animated Frosty the Snowman. But hidden in this wagon lied a VHS tape that young Corbin would carry with him the rest of his life. And that is A Muppet's Christmas Carol, which is the quintessential Christmas movie and telling of that story. In fact, I love this movie so much that when Disney redistributed the movie and they took out the fucking scene where Ebenezer Scrooge's love interest leaves him via song, I noticed they took it out. And if you stream it on Disney Plus, it's not there. They skip over it because they feel like it was too serious to have kids deal with, which is absurd.
Really? I had no idea.
But I love that song. It's really pretty, and it just talks about how she loves him, but she has to do right by her because he's too self-obsessed with his success. But when you take that element out and you're watching that movie for the first time, the whole purpose of Scrooge's journey is to see when he was happy and where it all went wrong. So when you take that out, it kind of makes his actual journey a little bit jarring. But for me, Muppet's Christmas Carol is, oh man, that is my favorite fucking film. Michael Caine. Kermit the Frog. There's magic in the air this evening. Magic in the air. The world is at her best, you know, when people love and care. And the promise of excitement is the one the night will keep. After all, there's only one more sleep till Christmas Day. So good.
Well done. Well done. The movie is very good. It's one that I hadn't seen in probably 15 years until I had kids. And it holds up. It's definitely the quintessential version that I would go to as well. Mm-hmm. So much so I've almost sent you guys this ad a few times, but I think the St. Louis Symphony is recreating A Muppet Christmas Carol as their Christmas production. My
Ooh.
Facebook is just blowing me up with ads to go see. I think it's the St. Louis Symphony redoing a Muppet Christmas Carol.
When is that? I want to go do that. That sounds like fun. Can we all do it together? We can
The
bring our
next-
significant others. We can make it a triple date.
The next time I see an ad, I'll send it to you guys.
You should. I'm Marley and Marley. Whoa. Yeah, and the death ghost scared me to death.
Yes.
The big
Very
scary
creepy.
long finger.
Mm-hmm.
The long finger.
Well, for me, I never got in trouble for trying to watch Christmas movies outside of Christmas. I think it was mostly because my parents were like, oh, you want to go do something and that means we have free time? Sure. You want to go watch a Christmas movie in July? Go do it. Go ahead. So the one that I constantly come back to, and it's now a new tradition for my family, where we actually watch it every year on Thanksgiving night,
Ooh.
is Christmas Vacation. To me, that is the quintessential Christmas movie, that it's not Christmas until I've sat down and I've watched Christmas Vacation.
I couldn't agree more. That was
I
actually
mean,
going to be
it's-
mine.
It's hilarious. It's timeless in my opinion. I could watch that movie anytime. Like if I were to go down and create a list of my favorite comedies of all time, which is a podcast for years we've said we wanted to do, Christmas Vacation is probably number one on my list because it's the comedy that I know for a fact I'm going to watch 2 or 3 times every single year. I'm going to watch it probably twice during Christmas season at least. And then usually we'll do something like Christmas in July and I'll throw it on. So for me, it's Christmas Vacation. It still makes me belly laugh. It's probably the most quotable. It maybe is the most quotable movie for me that I've ever seen. Like I reference this movie year round.
I actually didn't see that movie.
Vacation.
I really didn't see that movie until I was in my 20s.
Really?
Yeah. But once I did, I was all in. I was like, oh, I now understand.
It's gold.
This isn't like the fucking Christmas Story, whatever the fuck, where people like still stand on that hill. That movie is fucking garbage. If you like that movie, you have the shittiest taste in films and you should just burn every single form of media you have because the world was better without your taste. But Christmas Vacation definitely is worthy of your time.
Those are the same people that will preach and swear that the best Halloween movie of all time is Clayton. Best Halloween movie of all time is
Halloween.
No, we're talking about people with shitty movie taste.
Oh,
You made a TikTok about this after I ranted about it.
oh, my mind immediately goes to Michael Myers. So I'm like, Halloween. Hocus Pocus.
That's what I was
Sorry.
talking about too. I was like, of the 12, which is the worst. But no, you're right. Yes, you're right. Of the Halloween themed movies,
We have got to stop. Back when that trend was popular on TikTok,
Mm-hmm.
we've got to stop thinking Hocus Pocus is a good movie or a good Halloween movie. It's not even a good movie.
So Clayton, I kind of stole your thunder. Do you have a 1B?
You did. Yeah. So one that I always go to, and now actually my kids have been kind of obsessed with, is Home Alone. I don't think that there is a Christmas season that goes by where Home Alone is not watched multiple times in my house. And that has already started this year. Cadis has been watching it as his, like, I'm going to wind down, get ready for bed movie already this year. So that if there's a movie that fully captures like the feeling of Christmas, I think it's that movie when he's like walking around decorating stuff on his own, the Christmas carols in the background. So
definitely the best soundtrack of a mainstream Christmas movie.
For
like
sure.
When if I have to pick one, it's definitely that one. It's got great versions of all the Christmas songs you love.
It definitely does.
So did you guys watch the new Home Alone?
Absolutely
on
not.
Disney
No.
Plus?
No.
I did.
My kids did.
I stopped watching Home Alones after the third one.
I did.
And I was like,
and
oh, this is what they're like.
it is not good. Now, granted, as a parent, I get forced to watch some really bad shit. But so I wouldn't say it's bad. Like if I'm a parent, I need something new to watch with my kids, it's fine to watch. But it's exactly what we said 2 months ago when we were talking about this movie just in chit chat. It's going to be the most unnecessary thing that's been out there. And that's exactly what it was. They did do a different spin on Home Alone, which I appreciated, but just watch Home Alone. Like if you need your fix, just go watch the first 2 Home Alone movies and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Now there is another movie that I cannot not watch every year.
Is it Elf?
It is Elf.
You know, I used to kind of make fun of you for it, but it's become a tradition in my home as well. We've already watched Elf also.
It's so good. It is so fucking good.
It is
Yeah,
for
it
me.
really is. It's
for me,
very
it's
pure.
it's a classic. And you know what? It's what got Jon Favreau the gig at Iron Man, which allows him to make Mando. His entire career to giving us peak nerd shit was because of the movie Elf. Because that movie showed Kevin Feige that he knew how to juggle humor, story, and character. And that's what made Kevin Feige say, I want you for Iron Man.
So if you love Iron Man and you love The Mandalorian, you can really ultimately thank Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
Because without Will Ferrell, that movie probably doesn't work.
And Will Ferrell very famously turned down, it was like something absurd, like hundreds of millions of dollars for Elf sequel. And he said no, because sometimes you understand that there is just something that is just too good to make a follow-up. Like there's no way to do better.
Yeah.
And you risk the legacy of that movie as well. I feel like Elf is the one movie of our modern era to create a new classic. You know, we think about Christmas songs and how, aside from a very few exceptions like Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You, every classic Christmas song is like from the 60s. And those versions typically are better than the covers. But anytime an artist tries to make like a new Christmas song, get it out of here. It doesn't work. And I feel like movies are kind of that way. Anytime they try to make a new Christmas classic, more times than not, it just doesn't work. Anything post 80s is just like, no, we don't want that. But
That's
Elf was
a really good point. Like if I were to go backwards and try to think of Christmas movies I've watched over the past 20 years that are new, it's a very short list of movies that I would say were like, yeah, I'd watch that again. Like very, very short.
Yeah. I think Elf, Ron Howard's The Grinch with Jim Carrey toes that line. It's very quotable, but I don't need to watch it every year.
Yeah.
But most movies, yeah, they're forgotten.
I really like Christmas with the Cranks. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie with Tim Allen.
That
movie's like right there. The Santa Claus, that's definitely before Elf. But if you're talking, you know, modern day movies, that's kind of in that bucket where I would say, okay, that's like a classic.
Jingle All the Way.
I'll Be Home for Christmas with Jonathan Taylor Thomas, whatever his name is.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where he's trying to bang Jessica Biel.
Good man.
From Seventh Heaven.
Good man. You know, there's a movie that I saw a couple years ago.
Good shit.
It's on Disney Plus now.
I just watched it the other day. I was like,
I remember loving that movie. I think it gets bad reviews, but that's interrupt you. Tell me, what were you saying?
I haven't seen this in years. I think I've only seen it one time, but I loved it when I saw it, and we own it. I need to sit down and watch it this Christmas season. It's The Holiday. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie The Holiday. I think it's got Hugh Grant in it, and it's got Jack Black in it. And it is a love story, which I absolutely hate romance movies, but I really, really enjoyed watching The Holiday. So I think that's the movie I'm going to give a second shot to this year is The Holiday.
I'm glad you said that because that has reminded me. There is another movie that I have to watch every year, and you both are probably going to roll your eyes at. Love Actually is a movie that I have to watch. It is, of all the stupid ensemble movies of that era, like Valentine's Day, New Year's, and all that shit, like Love Actually is actually good. It's funny, and there's a lot of really just heartwarming scenes.
Yeah, we have both of those, and I remember watching them both and saying Love Actually is better than I thought, but The Holiday was the one that really sat with me where I was like, this is like a legitimately good Christmas love story.
I might need to try that again.
Die Hard.
Stop it.
Do we want to?
No, because if you admit Die Hard is a Christmas movie, that's saying Iron Man 3 is a Christmas movie, and I don't ever want to think about Iron Man 3 ever fucking again. So don't ever bring it up.
There's a lot of those non-traditionals. Like if that's a Christmas movie, then Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is absolutely a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I don't think Die Hard's a Christmas movie. It's not about Christmas. I feel like a Christmas movie has to be about Christmas, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
Now, Harry Potter is a little bit of the exception. I would never call Harry Potter a Christmas movie, but the early films have such a warm feel to them that I feel like that's why it's so easy to pair it up with Christmas. And we were kind of talking about this off cast, Tim, but I've been feeling the itch to revisit Harry Potter via audiobook because there's a comfort there, especially with books 1, 2, and part of 3, where like during this time of season, it just like it hits right.
Yep.
Because it just feels like home. And that's like kind of the essence of Christmas is warm, home, comfort. And so I do typically watch some Harry Potter during Christmas, but I don't usually binge the whole series. I usually stop after the second one or the third one, where I'm like, this is getting too serious. And Christmas is about like frolicking in the snow and going la-di-da-di-da with a candy cane in my mouth.
La-di-da-di-da.
I feel like that's a TikTok right there. Is Corbin frolicking with a
Now-
candy cane in his mouth?
Now,
La-di-da.
it wouldn't be Christmas season if we did not talk about a couple of things. First and foremost, Tim, if you've never had our grandma's eggnog, you've never had true eggnog, and we need
I
to
don't like
change
eggnog.
that.
I
You
do
will.
not like eggnog.
You will like this eggnog, trust me, because it's not normal eggnog.
Okay.
It's hard to explain.
It's
but
homemade
I would say I
Scratch
don't.
eggnog.
I would
So
say
do you guys
I
have the
don't
recipe?
like- yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Okay, then you need
So-
to make your grandma's
well-
eggnog sometime.
Yeah, we
We
will.
will. That's what he's saying.
That's what I'm
God.
saying. We're gonna change your mind, which means we need to
Sheesh.
see you sometime this month. So you need to make a trip up to St. Louis or we need to make a trip out to you. Either way. Real point is in the nativity scene, who would you say you are? And how does that
Okay.
reflect your walk with Christ?
I'm definitely the donkey. That's all I got. I don't know.
Because you're such an ass.
Yes, definitely.
We were just joking about it at Thanksgiving. That was a
Welcome
Christmas
to
dinner
the,
table.
Marshall side of our family's Christmas dinner table.
Now I
You're-
understand why you were criticizing my comment earlier where I said I'm just in a season.
Yeah, don't do that again.
Don't ever.
Don't
Don't
say that
ever.
again.
But yeah, this is my favorite time of the year. My Christmas decorations in my house went up the day after Halloween. I firmly believe that Thanksgiving is basically a pregame to Christmas where you get like some good food, but you get like the good food that you don't want to taste again out of the way. Like you
Mhm,
never have a
mhm.
turkey at Christmas. You have a fucking holiday ham
Holiday
with
ham.
ham gravy.
Ham gravy.
And the reason why the
Made
holiday
by my
ham
wife from
and
scratch.
ham gravy tastes extra good is because you had a turkey with turkey gravy the month prior. And you're like, I mean, that was good. I mean, it's better than like a normal Sunday roast. But like now you go into Christmas and you're like, fuck yeah, let's go.
We didn't even do a turkey this year because nobody likes it. I like turkey. I don't love it, but I like it. Didn't get a turkey. We went straight to the ham this year.
I don't know if I can
Straight to
get
the
behind
ham.
that.
But I don't know what ham gravy is.
What the fuck is wrong?
What do you
with
mean you know what ham gravy is?
I mean, we
make gravy
glaze.
out of the ham.
Do you need to come up here for a present Christmas?
It
Feel
sounds like I
I
do.
feel like you need a present Christmas in your life. You need ham gravy. It will change your life. You will never think about anything else until, like, when Christmas comes
Anything.
around.
Anything
It'll be,
else.
when is the ham gravy? Ask Corbin. He's a convert.
Convert.
I don't think I was ever anti ham gravy.
No, I'm
Definitely
you
not
weren't.
anti. I've never even heard of ham gravy before.
I'm using you as
So-
an example of
okay.
it's this time of year, and what are you asking for, Corbin?
Ham gravy. I finished burping up Thanksgiving dinner and I just in a hypnotic state look at Abby. Ham gravy. Ham gravy. When can I have ham gravy?
Oh shit.
So yeah, I guess we need to coordinate when you're supposed to be in St. Louis, and then you'll come down with me in Morgan, and have a Preston Christmas. It'll be a great time. We can have eggnog. We can walk around Fredericktown singing Christmas carols.
That's not gonna happen.
Oh,
We can get our nerdy OnlyFans off the ground that we've been talking about for months.
Watching these red bar sound things going off.
Yes. I fucking love Christmas, dude. I don't know. Is there
cool.
are there any other movies we haven't talked about that are like? Let me ask you this: you two have kids.
Yes.
Do you force upon them those animated claymation classics we watched as kids, or
Absolutely.
Yeah.
pass up on that opportunity?
I'll be honest. It's been a couple years since we watched them though, so maybe I'll have to do that again this year.
Yeah, there's no forcing in my house because I showed once and my kids love them. So we watched the claymation Rudolph. So we didn't get into some of the other ones because I never got into anything outside of the claymation Rudolph. There's some weird fucking ones out there, man.
Yeah,
but
I didn't
claymation Rudolph, the animated Frosty the Snowman that you mentioned, the old school animated Grinch.
There's a claymation Santa Claus one where it's about him as a redhead. When he's just Saint Nick and he has that song, just put one foot in front of the other and soon you'll be walking out the door.
It's not a great movie. We skipped that one.
Oh, I love that song. I think about it when I'm sad.
If you ever like sad Corbin mode, I'm going to send that song to you.
You should. It reminds me to keep going.
Another one in that realm is Mickey's Once Upon a Time Christmas. You guys ever?
We've watched those.
Is that the one where Pete is a scary devil?
Maybe.
Oh no, that's Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Yeah, that's Mickey's Christmas Carol. Well, Mickey's Once Upon a Time Christmas is like a bunch of kind of shorts, I think, if I remember right.
Yeah, there's two of them, and I think the first one's animated, and if I remember, the second one's more like digital animation.
Yeah, because it came out not too long ago, but the original is really good.
Yeah, it's got like. I think the one that always stuck with me, there's two of them. There's Max coming back home with a girl. Well, and he's just a complete prick to his dad the whole time. His dad's just trying to give him a good Christmas and just continues to highlight that Max is a complete asshole and Goofy's like an incredible dad.
Yeah.
And then Donald Duck has a good one with hot chocolate, I think, in that one.
Yeah, I think Huey, Dewey, and Louie have one in that where they act like a bunch of little dicks and like ruin Christmas, and then you have a Groundhog Day. Yeah, and then they realize that they messed up and like their Christmas wish is to not have done that, and they wake up again on Christmas morning and they do it right. So very good.
I usually get this one in. My kids, I think they say they like it, but then like when we actually sit down and start watching it, they usually drift off. A Nightmare Before Christmas is usually on my list. I think that's more of a Christmas movie than a Halloween movie.
I struggle with that one because it's like it's got those spooky vibes, but I think at its heart, it ultimately is a Christmas movie.
Yeah,
but I feel like because of that, I don't have a inclination to like watch at a certain time of year. Like I'm not like Christmas time. I have to watch that movie.
Yeah. The only movie that we haven't really mentioned that's a non-traditional Christmas movie that I try to watch every year, and people hate this movie. Corbin, I think you like it with me. It is the Gerard Butler version of Phantom of the Opera, the Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Who doesn't like that movie? It won, it won a flourishing amount of Academy Awards.
It gets roasted all over the place. I feel like it's maybe borderline rotten on Rotten Tomatoes.
Awards don't mean it's good.
Back then it did.
There's a couple of scenes that are like snowy, and so I think that's what always makes me tie it there. But that movie is ridiculously good. That's the one.
A whole scene where he's on the gargoyle, and he was like, "You will rue you did not do that which the phantom
Yep.
Da-da!
The red rose dropping into the snow.
It's good shit. I love that movie.
That movie's really good. Really good. There's not very many musicals that I go back to at this stage. I loved musicals for a long time, but a lot of them that I really loved that turned into movies, I go back as an older man. I'm like, You know, like Rent, I'm like, eh. Sweeney Todd, I love that still, but I'm still like, it doesn't hit like it did when I was like 23 or 24 when I first watched it. But Phantom hits every single time.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's a shame that people don't like that because I think it's fucking goddamn awesome. And also, what's her face from Shameless? She was like 16. She was like 16 in that movie, and she was hitting fucking soprano notes that. Whew,
yeah, she's super
that break glass. But I think I basically said all of the Christmas movies that I like to say. I'm just glad that we naturally talked about the two biggest controversies this time of year, which is where do you stand on Die Hard and A Christmas Story? And I'm glad that we agree that Die Hard is ultimately not a Christmas movie, and A Christmas Story is the worst fucking thing since Hocus Pocus.
It's just so boring. Like, it's okay to watch it once. Like, it's almost kind of like, especially with all the impact it's had on pop culture, you almost should watch it once. But there's no reason to add it to your top tier list. I'm going through Rotten Tomatoes best Christmas movie list just to see if we've missed anything. Batman Returns is on here.
Stop it.
It is. It's number 34.
People are so stupid.
Gremlins is on here.
That's a Christmas movie. I think that's close to a Christmas movie. It's definitely closer than Batman Returns.
Well, yeah, I guess.
Because Gizmo's a Christmas gift.
Yeah, I could get behind that. It's been a long time since I've seen Gremlins.
It's okay. We watched it last year. It terrified my youngest kid. Terrified her.
I feel like they're saying E.T. is a Halloween movie because they trick or treat. Which just isn't true.
Die Hard's on here. Number 11.
It almost cracked the top 10.
Mm-hmm. Top 10 according to Rotten Tomatoes best Christmas movies. Number 10, Tangerine. Never heard of it.
I don't even know what that is.
Number 9, Carol. Starring Kate Blanchett, Rooney Mara.
What?
Teresa Belavet spots a beautiful, elegant Carol pursuing the doll displays in a 1950s Manhattan department store.
Dear God, that sounds more boring than the original Miracle on 31st Street.
Number 8, Meet Me in St. Louis, 1944. What? Number 7, Little Women, 2019 version. Number 6, The Nightmare Before Christmas. Number 5, The Grinch Stole Christmas. Number 4, The Shop Around the Corner. Number 3, Holiday Inn. Number 2, Miracle on 34th Street. And number 1,
It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life.
Yep.
Oh my God. Who voted on this bullshit?
It's based on their Rotten Tomato ranking, I believe.
That's gross. That list is garbage. That list is more garbage than the initial list that was on our Facebook group by that one person who had Die Hard and Christmas Story in their top
Wondering
5.
how we put this list together. Every movie on the list is fresh and plays around the spirit of Christmas and the holidays. They then sorted them all by our ranking formula, which formulates the movie's release year, number of reviews. So they rank it on the reviews.
You know what Christmas movie I've never seen that everybody around me seems to love? I've probably seen it, but never sat down and watched it from start to finish. And that's Bad Santa. People love Bad Santa. And every time I sit down and like watch 15 minutes of it here or there, it's not funny to me. Like
I have no desire to watch it.
Yeah, I don't understand the hype around Bad Santa because every time I sit down, I'm like, this isn't checking any of my boxes. Like, it's not funny. It doesn't make me feel like ready for the season. It's not lighthearted. Like, it just misses on everything that I want in a Christmas movie.
I will. Oh, never mind. I was gonna say I'll give some credit to Rotten Tomatoes because it's not on their list, but it is. It's number 35.
What?
Bad Santa.
Bad Santa.
Oh. Yeah, I've never watched it. I just have no desire to watch it.
It's not my type of humor. All right, well, that'll do it for this week's The Nerdosphere. We thank you for joining us. What are some of your Christmas classics? Let us know on our socials or over in our Nerdosphere group over on Facebook. Again, if you like what we do and you're on an Apple device, scroll down and give us a rating. If you don't care, 5 stars really helps get us in front of new ear holes and helps us grow. If you really like what we do, go over to patreon.com/thenerdosphere, where you can learn how to support the show and gain exclusive perks. Remember to share with those you love, and we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Toodaloo.